It's good to see everybody. Made a long trip out to Oregon and learned a good bit about our team, and that's going to be ongoing. Some things that we want to repeat, some things that we want to be able to stay away from, and of course, disappointed that we weren't able to come away with the victory that we intended to. I had yesterday off with the travel back, and then back at it here today, and then gearing up for Jackson State on Saturday in our first home game that I personally very excited about. I know our guys are too. Also, today's National Signing Day. Very, very happy that Jared Hall, Carlos Williams, and Matt Reed have officially joined us, and I can say that publicly. And just excited about what we're doing and what we're building here at Tulsa.
So what'd you learn from that your first game?
Well, I learned that we can do some things at a high level. You look at the first half stats, and I told the guys at halftime, this is a 40-minute game now, and we're going to expect that Oregon State's going to make some adjustments or just play better. This is their first game too, but we track a number of stats, things that we really want to be great at, and it's not shooting. It's things like rebounding and taking care of the basketball, and those things we did very, very well in the first half. In the second half, we were very, very poor in both, and those things really resulted in not being able to finish that game off. So those are the types of things that I think our guys can feel good about, is knowing that we can do it. We can do it against teams much bigger than us on the road. We just got to be able to do it for a full 40.
Is learning system, learning scheme, all those things, is learning how to finish and learning how to win, is that something else that you're having to teach as well early on in the season?
I think all those things, TJ, are part of learning, right? I mean, we want to be able to be great and keep working on the 90% of the game. Yes, there's special situations that we've covered. We haven't been able to do them all because there's so many. But being able to finish games is a learned trait as well, and some of that comes from experience. We had some young guys out there, some guys that haven't been in those situations before, but still put us in position to have a couple shots there late. But more than anything, we're talking about what things can we get better at that the score will take care of itself and we won't even need to be in that position. And, just some of the things that we talk about, we defended them at 0.75 points per possession in the first half, but 1.45 in the second, and we just can't do that and expect to win a game on the road.
You mentioned rebounding and taking care of the ball in the first half or some highlights. Was that for you the big difference from first half play to second half play? Were those two components?
I'd say the biggest thing was making them miss. They shot 62% in the second half, and even the rebounds that were available, we missed 2 free throw blockouts. We only got 25% of available defensive rebounds in the second half, where in the first half we got 81%, and that's such a drastic divide. And we need to be much closer to what that first half is. So even when they did miss, and they didn't miss often, they were able to get some of those offensive rebounds, and some of those come from turning the basketball over, live ball turnovers. They just scored it at a much higher rate in the second half.
What about the key of, the point of having your first game be against a good opponent, as opposed to, an easy game that you could have kind of eased your way into it? Talk about the decision-making process with the schedule.
Yeah, scheduling comes down to so many different variables. It was a game that we already had scheduled. We had to go back out there. And then you get down to date and try to figure out when's a good time to do. And with the tournament in Myrtle Beach, from final exams to the game we already had set with ORU and a number of different things, we felt like, and we've done this in the past, is, hey, let's really get in the fire right away. And let's see where we're at. And I think early on in the season and going on the road, we scrimmaged twice on the road. There was great opportunities to just be together, be on the road and kind of in the foxhole, if you will, together. And we just fell a little bit short. And so I think these moments can help us moving forward.
I know you didn't get the win, but this was the first time for you and your team to be on the road. How do you think they just responded with, hey, it's a business trip, we made a long business trip as well with that?
Yeah, it was a long one for sure, Dan. I mean, we did, and it was why we also chose to do 2 different scrimmages on the road. We felt like we treated them like games. We had to travel. We talk about our travel routines and the different types of things we do. So the travel from this standpoint wasn't different that way, although it was a very long trip, changing time zones. We had a little bit of travel delays with snow in Corvallis and flew into Eugene. But all those things are just things that you've got to handle on the road. And I thought our guys did a really nice job of it. They were absolutely ready to play. The effort was there, played our hearts out. We just got to keep getting better and better and more connected in the things that we can get better at.
Jackson State, kind of a team that I'm not that familiar with on the hardwood. You're probably more familiar than me, obviously, but just them coming to town, your home opener here this Saturday.
Mo Williams is their coach, had a long NBA career. He's brand new there as well. They've got some talent. We actually played them last year when I was at Louisiana Tech and had a close game with them. They've got some guys that can score it. Gabe Watson is someone who's scored it now for several years in college. They had a close game at Abilene Christian. But they're not going to be afraid of anybody, that's for sure. I mean, this is a team that's got talent. We've got a challenging schedule, and that's a lot by design. Some of it was inherited, but there was games that we did schedule. This is one of them, and we felt like, hey, they've got size, they've got guys that can play, they've got guys that can score. We've got to get ourselves ready for a very difficult American Conference schedule, and this was one of those games that'll help us do that.
It's your first home game. What do you think?
Well, I'm super excited. You know, on a personal level, I haven't been in a game in the Reynolds Center since 2001. And to be the head coach here, it'll never be lost on me, guys, ever, how special this opportunity is for me personally. But, of course, we've got a job to do, and we're going to prepare very, very hard this week and get ready for a great home opener. I'm so appreciative of our administration, our president, Brad Carson, our athletic director, Rick Dixon, for the number of things that we're adding to the experience here at the Reynolds Center. And we just ask that everybody come out and enjoy it. Enjoy in part of what makes college basketball special, the number of different add-ons that we're doing here to make it a place that you want to come and attend. And then, of course, we want to put a product on that floor that's fun to watch. And then it's a product that you can grow with, too, because we've got some guys working really, really hard, focused on getting better as a group and individually. And I know I'm enjoying it every day being with these guys.
Talk about getting our feet wet, and December it's quite a few home games at least, but this month, after this you're going up to Myrtle Beach, go to Stillwater as well. There's really not like let's coast into this thing, right? I mean, we're starting out tough early, so what are you hoping maybe to find out about your team in these first really couple weeks of the season before you kind of get some home games before conference play?
The overall November is not exactly what we intended, but there were some things that we wanted to do. Again, it's a 3-year deal with Oklahoma State, and that was the exact date that they needed, and it was at the end of their schedule. And I thought, hey, let's do this because we're going to get them back. We're going to play in Oklahoma City the second year. But to go along with what you're saying, TJ, is we've got, as coaches, an opportunity every single day to create adversity in practice. There's adversity in every game you play. And I feel like that's what's really going to get us stronger as we build this program is let's be in challenging situations and let's grow and get better at that. I think, and you see it across the country, you could play a number of games on paper that aren't as challenging, and you really won't find things out until conference play. And we want to be able to be in those situations early. It's the way our schedule just has kind of laid itself out, and we're going to do everything we can to attack it the best way possible.
You mentioned it's not how you intended, so I guess I'm curious, what would be a good schedule for November for you? Like, what would be most ideal for you then?
Well, when I say not to be intended, again, scheduling is a little bit on what's available too. This is not entirely of what was already scheduled. I want to make sure that I'm clear with that. There was games that were scheduled. There was games that we were looking to schedule. Scheduling has become very, very different. It's always been challenging, but it's become different, especially post-pandemic, where some teams are electing to schedule games much later, but then some teams are choosing not to play games at all, not play their full allotment. So we just worked hard to find the best games possible, try not to miss very much class time because that's important too. These guys have a job to do academically also. But I think it's always about balance. Life is, right? I mean, we want to play some games at home. We want to play some games on the road and try to find a balance. We're a little bit off kilter with our November and December, but it'll all even out in the end. We just got to stay steadfast on the things that we can control and keep attacking every day.
I think most are invitationals, but how much where you get to go for those. I'm gonna imagine if they invite you, you have to accept the invitation to Myrtle Beach. But how much of a say do you have in like, oh, we want to go to, you know, the big ones like Maui and you know those? How much of a say do you guys have in which tournaments you guys select, and how much of it is truly getting invited?
There's a little bit of both. I mean, first, there's some tournaments that are scheduled many years out. And when I was an assistant coach for many years, I was in charge of scheduling and got to know those people very well, the tournament promoters and the types of things that they're looking for. You can only have one team from the American in those. So if one is already set in one of those MTEs, multiple team events, then they're not available. But there are a number of things out there. There's a number of ways you can do it. We could set one up here to try to get some home games. You can go on a neutral site someplace and play a classic where the games are already preset, or you can play a tournament format like we are in Myrtle Beach. ESPN runs a number of them. We're looking out in the future for next year and the year after. They're typically the things that I call, you want the spoke of the wheel. Like you want to be able to have that be the center and then build the rest of your schedule off of that, because many times it's going to chew up several days in your non-conference schedule.
Would you like to see that? Maybe like at the BOK Center, have you guys and maybe an OSU and play like different opponents, kind of like a doubleheader thing?
Yeah, we're open to so many different opportunities. I think there's a lot of value in an event like this where you play back-to-back days. That is very similar to a conference tournament. Then you have a day off and then you play another game. There's value in that. There's value in playing neutral site events. But again, I believe, and this is, it's all about balance. I'd love to play some neutral games because it is like conference tournament, but I think the pure beauty of college basketball is on campus sites. You play a game in the Reynolds Center, the place is packed. You go on the road and in the student section is just harassing everybody, myself included. Like, that's great. I mean, that's what this is all about. So we want balance in our schedule, home, away, neutral, spread out, and that's what we hope to get to at one point.
I'm assuming you can't tell me an opponent that you would like to play on your schedule moving forward, but let's say conference. Is there a conference that you would like to see played here at the Reynolds Center? Big Ten, ACC? I mean, what would a dream opportunity be for you if you could get someone here to the Reynolds Center?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, it's just looking at finding an opportunity that fits both programs. And here are the facts. You know, there's a number of conferences that have gone to 20 games. That's less inventory. Teams are playing more neutral site games, more MTEs. So there's less opportunities for those home and homes. I think playing in-state, I think playing ORU is great. It's been going on for years. It happened the year I was here before. Playing Oklahoma State, you know, Coach Boyd and I have known each other for a long time, and he's already been here before, and he's obviously interested in that. So I think celebrating the state of Oklahoma is important. I also think making sure that we do right by our student athletes and not being gone for weeks at a time and missing a ton of classes. We've got to be able to do those things too. So it's really not just a one-game affair. It's trying to build a whole schedule that just fits. But we're looking for, down the road, of continue to find great opponents here to come to the Reynolds Center that our fans can enjoy as well.
Can you talk about Jared Hall and kind of what it took to get him to come here? And, you know, it seems like he's a special player.
Yeah, I think all three of these guys that have signed are special, and I think they fit each other in what their skill sets are. I think they fit the University of Tulsa very well. I think they fit the city of Tulsa well, and all three of them have told me how much they enjoyed their visit here and just getting to know the people on campus, off campus. Jared in particular, he's really one of those versatile type figures that we were looking for. We targeted and evaluated a number of different guys. You do that initially, you watch people play, and you become attracted to their gifts on the floor, and then you reach out and you talk to the young man, their parents, their high school coach, people in their community, and then you, in his case, became even more attracted to just the type of guy he is. Made several trips to his high school. He came here on a visit, and I know that him and his family just felt very comfortable with the environment we have here, what we're about, our experience in helping guys like him get better and better. And then, of course, the opportunity he's got here to do something special in a place that over history has been a premier basketball program. And, you know, he's a guy that I think the city of Tulsa will embrace and enjoy watching play.
How normal was this recruiting cycle for you? I don't know how much you recruited these guys to Los in building these relationships with these guys. But was it normal? Was it sped up because of the change of scenery for you? Like how normal was this recruiting process?
Well, I would say the part that was abnormal is normally we would be, like, for example, we're very aware of the junior class, the sophomore class, the freshman class in our region. And even at my previous school, living in Louisiana, I was always very, very much aware of what was happening in Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, those regions. And so, but being a part of the program here and reaching out to young men at an early age, putting Tulsa in front of them when they're 14, 15, 16 years old is different. I will say Matt Reed, for example, we saw him play late in his 8th grade career. He was scrimmaging with the varsity, got a look at him then. He was a big kid with skill. And so we were aware of him at an early age. And then, of course, had essentially 2 years away from being out on the road because of the pandemic. But he was a guy that we targeted as soon as we got here. Just to say things about him, he's got an interesting skill set as a forward center. He can shoot threes. He can score on the inside. He's 6'8" or 9" and over 250 pounds. I mean, he can play. And so we were looking for that type of skill set as well. But he was a guy that we knew. Same thing with Carlos Williams. We evaluated him when he was in high school. So these were guys that we knew. Jared, we were aware of. Coach Conroy evaluated him in the June month. That was the first time he saw him live. Coach King saw him a year ago. So we had some familiarity. He was on our list. But then it just goes into building relationships with guys quickly, enticing them to come to campus. And then, I think there's a lot to sell once you get here.